testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat and witness stand. Adjust the microphone so we can hear you. You can bring. And for the record, say and spell your first and last name, please.
Jake Gibson. First name's Jake, last name's Gibson, Gibson.
Thank you.
Proceed, please.
Thank you. Sir, can you tell us how it is that you're employed?
I'm currently employed with the Federal Public Defender's Office in the Central District of California as a digital forensic investigator.
Okay. And where were you employed previous to that?
I was employed with the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, Bureau of Investigation, for 15 years.
And what was your job title at the LADA's office?
Investigator and senior investigator.
And where were you assigned during that time? When you left, let's talk about that.
The last 9 years, I was assigned to the digital forensic unit, as focusing on digital forensics.
Okay. And what is digital forensics?
It's the acquisition, analysis, and reporting on electronic information stored on cell phones, computers, SD cards. If it contains digital information, it's the process of the acquisition, analysis, and reporting on electronic data.
Okay. Can you briefly detail for us your training and experience in the area of digital forensics?
Yeah, I have over 1,000 hours of training pertaining to digital forensics. I have 3 certifications from the SANS Institute, GCFE, a certified forensic examiner, certified forensic analyst, and a certified smartphone forensic analyst from the SANS Institute. It's a tool agnostic certification that's recognized in the digital forensic community. Going back to the training, I've attended trainings from the FBI, California Department of Justice, FBI, Cellebrite, Magnet Forensics, Axiom, and other software vendors.
Okay. And you mentioned Cellebrite. Cellebrite is a company that does what?
Cellebrite has, they make software that allows examiners or investigators, individuals, to acquire, analyze, and report on mobile devices specifically, like your iPhones, Androids, cell phones, digital devices that's stored on the device, data that's stored on the device.
So they make some type of software that allows you to visualize the data from a digital device?
Yeah, Cellebrite Physical Analyzer is the software. It's a data visualization tool to take the data that's on your device and make it accessible for analysis for a human being to interpret the data.
And prior to using the software to visualize the device, is there also a procedure that takes place in order to recover or image or copy a particular device so that you can then use the visual analyzer to see the information?
Yeah, the acquisitions that we're going to be talking about today were provided by LAPD, and I was able to analyze those acquisitions.
Excuse me one moment. Approximately how many forensic exams on digital devices would you say you have performed over the course of the time that you've been assigned to as a digital forensic examiner or investigator?
At least 2,000, all encompassing mobile devices, SD cards, records from service providers, over 2,000.
And in those 2,000 cases, have you also analyzed the evidence and reported on what you found?
Not 2,000 cases, 2,000 items.
Items.
Yeah, 2,000 items on over 100 cases, approximately.
And that's because on some cases, such as this, you might be looking at multiple devices?
Correct.
All right. And did you also, while you were working for the district attorney's office, regularly lecture in this area?
Yeah, I did I self-authored a mobile device forensic class that I gave to the law enforcement community several times. And I presented that information presentation several times. And then in my current assignment, I've also provided training to federal employees regarding digital forensics and discovery issues.
And while you were working for the district attorney's office, you also trained not just in law enforcement investigators, but also district attorneys in this area, correct?
Correct. Here in Los Angeles and in Ventura County.
Okay. And have you also testified as an expert in the Superior Court as well as before the LA County Grand Jury?
Yes,
in this area?
I've testified as an expert before the grand jury in various evidence hearings and in jury trials, and I have testified in federal court as an expert.
Did you review evidence from various mobile devices, in this case, regarding the murder of Fabio Sementilli while you were employed at the district attorney's office?
Yes.
And did you obtain the extracted information or image files from a law enforcement agency to conduct your investigation and analysis?
Yes.
And who did you obtain that information from?
Is Ellie? I remember his first name being George.
George Diaz?
George Diaz, LAPD. He was assigned to the forensic unit for LAPD.
Okay. And so did you obtain device extractions, as I said, imaged files, photos of devices and things of that nature from George Diaz maybe sometime in 2018?
Correct.
And were the two of you part of some type of Secret Service task force at that time?
Yeah, we were part of the United States Secret Service Federal Task Force for forensics and cybersecurity, cybercrime.
All right. And in terms of what your role was, once you obtained the device extractions and imaged files, what did you do with those items?
I began the process of analyzing the devices and visualizing or capturing screenshots of various important artifacts from those various devices and placing that into a PowerPoint.
All right. And based on the large volume of data and the type of investigation that was relevant to this case, did you focus your analysis on certain items?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that based on the volume of evidence, you can never report on every detail that is found when you conduct investigations on devices such as this? That it would, in other words, be an incredibly large volume?
There's a large amount of data on these devices. The relevant, like you try to do your best to put in the most relevant artifacts pertaining to the information that's on the devices, but you can't put all the information or that are on these devices, especially when we're going to be talking about 4 devices, in a PowerPoint. Like, it's not practical or reasonable.
Okay. So did you focus your analysis on certain items such as call logs?
Yes.
Contacts?
Yes.
Emails?
Yes.
Messaging?
Like,
MMS, SMS?
yes.
What is the difference between MMS and SMS?
SMS is simple. messaging service, and the MMS is multimedia messaging service. So the easiest way to think of it is SMS is messaging with text, letters, numbers, and MMS is like when you send pictures or media, multimedia.
Hence the what MMS stands for, right?
Correct.
All right. Did you also look at image files,
Yes.
wireless networks?
Yes.
Often, when you use software such as Cellebrite to visualize information, are you able to sometimes find data that might have been previously deleted by a user?
Yes.
And is that dependent on whether or not the deleted data had been written over on the device?
That would, yes. There's a lot of different factors that can play into deleted data, but if there are items that are marked for deletion and haven't been overwritten in the databases, it can be recovered by certain software.
Okay. In some cases, correct?
Yes.
And is there different type of locations or space on these devices that you look at? Such as, let's say, if you're looking for deletions maybe in the unallocated space?
Yes, that's one way to frame it. Yes.
Okay. And did you create a PowerPoint or a series of slides that were representative, again, not including everything, but representative of what evidence existed and you believed was relevant at the time when you were conducting your investigation back in 2018?
Yes.
Okay. So it would be representative of a larger volume, as we talked about, of data that you reviewed.
Correct. There's an enormous amount of data on these devices, and this is a snapshot of the relevant artifacts at the time when I was doing the investigation.
Your Honor, I have a CD, I believe, that contains this PowerPoint relevant to this particular witness. May it be marked as people's next in order, please?
105.
Thank you. Can you explain, before we even start, what metadata is?
Metadata, the meta just means self-referring, so it's just self-referring information about a particular file in this case. So metadata gets thrown around a lot. It's just self-referring information.
And if you were to have metadata, let's say, for example, on a photograph, what type of information might that metadata provide?
You're going to be talking about timestamps, what device took the picture, the location of where that file is in regards to the file system of the device, and any other information that we'll be discussing.
So including timestamps, location, and also perhaps date?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is the first slide of your PowerPoint where you started with booking photos, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the second photo was a photograph of the victim in this case, whose device you also analyzed, correct?
Yes.
And you had a device or devices relating to the defendant in this case, Monica Sementilli,
Yes.
and also devices relating to a prior defendant, Robert Baker.
Yes.
All right. So, what is it that we see here on this particular slide, which is, I believe, slide 6?
You'll notice in the upper left corner, it's item 67. That is the LAPD item number. So item 67 is Fabio Sementilli's iPhone 7 Plus, and there's identifying information on the right-hand side under the device information. And you can see in the lower left corner is his phone number, the MSISDN number, and that's the phone number for Mr. Sementilli.
Okay, the 818 number that we see, 3310463?
Correct.
Okay. Would it be safe to say that there was much less data on his cell phone, item 67, than you found on the defendant's?
I would say that there wasn't a lot of relevant information on Mr. Sementilli's phone for this matter. As far as like the total volume, that would be speculation as far as, because I'm not looking for information that's not relevant to the investigation.
Okay. So in other words, anything that was related to his career, that wasn't what your focus of your analysis was?
That would be fair.
Okay. Showing you the next slide, slide 7, item 82. What do we see here?
Item 82 is are photographs of the LG G-Pad. These photographs were provided to me to help visualize the device.
Okay. And what do we see in the top right corner?
That's a AT&T SIM card. You'll see the number that starts with 89. That is a ICC ID number. It's a unique number for the SIM card, and it identifies the country code, which is the set of 3 numbers after the 89, and then the rest of it is a unique identifying number.
What is a SIM card?
It allows the device to connect on the cellular network, and it assigns a phone number so that that device can connect through the cell network.
So in other words, you could make phone calls through this device as well as connect to the internet to, let's say, do an internet search.
Correct.
Showing you the next slide. What do we see here on slide 8?
Specific device information for item 82, identifying the Bluetooth device name and other information, the ICC ID number from the SIM card as well.
Okay, so various unique identifiers for the device. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And the next slide, again, relating to the defendant's LG G-Pad, what do we see here?
This is a screenshot of the physical analyzer software displaying the user accounts for item 82.
Okay. And does it appear that from looking at this particular slide that the defendant had it under her personal name and that there appears to be multiple email addresses saved to this device?
Correct. The Instagram, for example, the username is Monica Sementilli. For the Instagram, that's the first row. Happened to be highlighted in blue. There's also fabstyle67@gmail.com. And the different services like your Hangouts have Monica Sementilli. The Google Drive and Google Maps and the Gmail account associated with the device are also Monica Sementilli at gmail.com.
Okay. And what do we see here? I believe this is maybe slide 10.
This is item 101. This device is Mr. Baker's, and it's a picture of the Samsung device along with the SIM card.
This was a Samsung S4?
I think the next slide will have the device. Yeah, this is the Samsung SGH i337. It's just the model number of the model assigned to the device. And you can see item 101, Mr. Baker's phone number is in the lower left corner with 983-2325.
Let me ask you, if we saw on this last slide that, slide 10, that there is a SIM card, would a user be able to switch out the SIM card and therefore switch out the phone number on the device?
Yeah, you can SIM swap. You can add and remove SIM cards from devices that allow you to do that. This particular device, it's removable along with the SD card.
Okay. And moving on to slide 12, what do we see here? This looks similar to what we saw with respect to the defendant's device number 82.
Well, this is item 101. This is Mr. Baker's user accounts that was populated by Cellebrite for Mr. Baker, or Mr. Baker's device.
So it shows that he has a Facebook Messenger under his name, correct?
Correct. If you look under the name column, which is the third column from the screenshot, and it's the fifth row.
We look under the third row. Does it appear that he also has various email accounts connected to this device, one being oeginc@gmail and one being Oz Entertainment?
The third row has the RB at westover1981.com, along with the other three emails.
Okay. Showing you the next slide. Slide number 13, item number 119. What is this?
These are photographs of Monica Sementilli's phone.
Okay. Front and back.
Correct.
Showing you the following slide. Slide 14, what do we see here?
This is more device information for Monica Sementilli's phone. You can see on the lower left corner, her phone number was 818-424-4213.
Okay. And is this an iPhone 7?
Yes.
Thank you. And what do we see on the following slide, slide 15?
These are the user accounts associated with item 119, and you can see the call Madi-mo at hotmail.com email address, along with on the Instagram user account assigned as Monica Sementilli.
What about the next slide, slide 16?
This is photographs of item 121.
Okay. And this was yet another iPhone registered to Robert Baker?
This is a Galaxy. It's not an iPhone.
Sorry. It says iPhone, but it's actually a Samsung Galaxy, correct? This would be an S8?
This is a Galaxy S8. It just says Robert Baker's phone. So
oh, I think. My eyes are playing tricks on me. I thought it said iPhone. Showing you the next slide, 17. What does it tell us in particular with respect to this phone and its phone number?
This is item 121. The phone number for this device is 213-272-1093.
Okay. And now moving on to slide 19, what do we see here with respect to items 119 and item 67?
The screenshot came from item 119, and these are the contact entries filtered for Mr. Sementilli for item 67.
When you say filtered, what does that mean?
I filter. You can see that there's 1,164 contacts. I'm filtering down those contacts so you can see Mr. Sementilli's information that's stored on Mrs. Sementilli's device.
So she has him stored under his name as well as under Daddy?
On the second row, the WhatsApp application, the Daddy is associated with that phone number.
Okay. showing you the next slide. What do we see here?
This is Mr. Baker's item 101. Filter down, there's the 3 contact entries. The first entry does not have Mr. Baker. It's not for item 101. It doesn't. The phone number is not Mr. Baker's, but the last 3 entries are.
Okay. And that's the 702 phone number that we talked about?
Correct. The 702, the phone number ending in 2325.
Thank you. And if we look at the slide after that, slide 21, what do we see here?
These are contact entries for item 121 for Mr. Baker that are stored on Mrs. Sementilli's phone.
Okay. So she, what do we see in that, the first column where we see the number 1002? What does that column represent?
So there's 1,164 contact entries. That is just 1,002 of the 1,164. It's just the number that's assigned to that specific entry for that particular screenshot.
And so for that number 1002, she has that listed as Robert and the phone number that we saw relative to his item number 121, correct?
Correct. Item 121 is that 1093 is listed in that contact entry.
And she also has him listed as racquetball and as Louisa and as Diane racquetball, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Louisa, were you aware that, did you become aware that Louis is Baker's middle name?
Yes.
All right. And looking at the next slide, slide 22, what do we see here?
This is a contact entry from item 101. The contact is someone that's listed as Alfred Birdsong, and the phone number that is pointed out is the same phone number for the device. But Mr. Birdsong also has 2 additional phone numbers and emails.
Okay. And if we look at this particular slide, does it also have, as we see on the right, an address in Las Vegas?
Yes, 10245.
Oz Entertainment Group, Inc.
Yes.
And does it also indicate a similar email address or a web address that we saw from Mr. Baker, which is that OEG, this one is
Yes.
Alias.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to slide 23, can you tell us what we're looking at here with respect to Baker's device 101?
This is device 101's contact entries for item 121. Both because he had 2 phones. This is his one device contact entries for his other device, and you can see that he listed it as Robert L. Baker and Robert.
And is there also an email associated through Yahoo?
Yes.
As well as a P.O. box?
Yes.
The next slide, item 101, slide 24. What does this show us in terms of contacts?
These are 2 contact entries for item 101 for contact entry Oz Entertainment Group Incorporated and Robert Baker.
Okay. Showing you the next slide, slide 25. What does this contact show us for item 121 in connection with Baker's other phone, 101?
The phone number that's highlighted with the arrow is item 101. This contact entry is from 121.
Okay. 121 being the Galaxy S8, correct?
Don't want to mix the two up. I believe 121 is the S8.
Okay. And under this particular contact, we also see under details the name Alfred Birdsong, along with Alfred Birdsong's, looks like a couple of email contacts, or a few of them actually, correct?
Correct. There's emails and a couple of other phone numbers associated with Mr. Birdsong.
Okay, including the address and the Oz Entertainment Group that we looked at on a prior slide.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to slide 26. What did you document here?
This is a contact entry from item 121, and this contact entry is for item 119, Monica Sementilli's phone number, the phone number ending in 4213, with her Hotmail email address that was also in 119.
Okay. Okay. So you now have a slide that indicates 27, same contacts. Look at 28. What are you documenting here?
The same contact entries that are on 119 and 121.
Okay. So between the defendant's phone and one of Baker's phones, they have the same contact information for an individual by the name of Paula McCullum with the same phone number, ending in 6026?
Correct.
Okay. And the next one? Same thing?
It's the same thing, but with a phone number ending in 3905.
For an Elise Bluo?
It's Elise and Elise Racquetball. I wouldn't
Okay.
know the
Got
last
you.
name.
And the next slide, slide 30, same contact for Miss Sheila Salahian in each phone?
Correct. The 2283 is, or the phone number ending in 2283. Both 119 and 121.
Okay. And it looks like the contact under 121, Baker's phone, actually has a picture associated, correct?
Correct.
Moving on to slide 31. What did you indicate here?
Same contact entry for Ron Ray, phone number ending in 81.
And this is between the defendant's iPhone and Baker's Samsung 101.
Correct.
What did you mean by number 121 not shown?
I don't remember.
Okay. The next slide, 32, this is again showing the same type of information, the same contact for an individual named Matt Nurse and his phone number between the defendant's phone and Baker's phone 101.
Correct.
And also a contact for a phone number with, does this appear to be
This is so
no name?
well. Yeah, it's adult talent management.
Okay.
However, on Monica's device, that's actually a recent log, so it's not an actual contact entry that was manually entered into the device. It could have been just associated with the device in some unknown manner.
When you say manually entered, meaning that the phone number was dialed?
It could have been anything. If you look at the source file,
Yes.
you see the library mail recents. You'd have to go into that database and figure out how that phone number was placed into her device, but it wasn't. The user didn't manually enter that phone number as a contact entry into her device based on the screenshot.
Okay. So it's not a contact, but it was somehow manually entered the phone number.
No.
Actually, this states evidence.
So exactly what is it?
It's not manually, and Monica didn't manually enter that phone number into her device. It was just associated with the device at some point, which could have been through a mass text like without looking at the database. There's no way to know how it landed on the device. It could have been through like a text message or third-party application association. It's just the same phone number that was on both devices.
Got it. On the item 101 belonging to Baker, he has a title as Adult Talent Management, ATM, and he has that under details as a work phone number associated.
Correct.
Moving on to the next slide. We were just talking, you just mentioned third-party applications. In this case, Viber. What is a third-party application?
Third-party apps are those that give you added functionality to your mobile devices. Most people have iPhones or Google Androids. Third-party applications are those at which you can download from the Play Store or the iTunes Store from Apple. And they give you added functionality to your mobile device that's not on your device when you first purchase it.
What does added functionality mean?
It could be anything. There's millions of apps that give you different things that you can do with your mobile device. So you can play games, do things that's not by default installed on your device.
Okay. So it's an application you have to actually download, as you just described.
Viber is a third-party app that you have to download.
Is it also a messaging app?
Yeah, it's a messaging. If you go to the next slide, they'll tell you exactly what it is. It's a third-party app that allows you to connect to other people. It's similar to Facebook or WhatsApp. It's a third-party messaging app that allows you to make calls and video messages and utilize their platform to connect to individuals.
So you can use it to, let's say, make a video call similar to like a FaceTime call on an iPhone?
I'm just, because this was in 2018, it's a yes, it looks like yes.
Okay. Also, you could make an audio call, a regular phone call.
Yes.
You can text, send a message.
Yes.
Okay. The following slide is that's basically something you pulled off the internet regarding what Viber is and does.
Correct.
Okay. And the following slide, slide 37, same thing, more information regarding Viber.
Correct.
All right. And then what do we see in slide 38?
These are Monica's iCloud records that were seized by LAPD that were provided to me, and this is just a screenshot of one of the Excel spreadsheets that come back from Apple.
When you say seized by LAPD, in terms of the iCloud records as well as the cell phone extracts, would those all have been provided via a search warrant?
Yes.
Okay. And what do we see here relative to her iCloud records and Viber?
This is zoomed out. It's just, these are various records that Apple stored for Viber, and the different columns has different information that Apple is storing for the specific user.
And what do we see here in slide 39?
So in the third column where you see the arrow on the left is Monica Sementilli's phone number ending in 4213. And then the other arrow you can see content name Viber Messenger.
So this shows us from her iCloud records that she is using Viber in order to, as you said, to make calls or messages, things of that nature.
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
If you look at the content name, you can see the Viber Messenger. There's activity with Viber.
So it shows you specifically Viber Messenger, correct?
Correct.
Looking at the following slide, what does this indicate?
This is the that column, create underscore TS is creation timestamp. That is the Viber Messenger install date for Viber on Monica's device.
So in other words, she installed Viber Messenger, as you talked about before, through an app store, online app store, downloaded it to her phone on April 9th, 2016.
Objection, conclusion not founded.
It's overruled. It's expert opinion.
Correct.
Looking at the next slide, what do we see here? This would be slide 41.
These are password tokens for item 119 for filtered for Viber.
What does that mean?
As you can see, there's 188 entries, and if you look in the upper right corner, you can see I filtered for Viber, and those are the 4 entries that are filtered for Viber. And if you look at the data, that is like a token that is stored for that specific application and account.
So in other words, she has Viber stored on her device with a password,
Correct.
showing the keychain for it.
It's labeled as device key.
Okay. And what do we see on the next slide here?
The column highlighted are application updates for the actual application itself.
So it shows that not only did she download Viber Messenger app onto her phone, but it had been updated, the app had been updated multiple times. Is that right?
Apple is recording that there are updates and re-download. If you look at the third row in the upper left corner, it says iTunes update and re-download details.
And again, it also has an associated email that we saw on her phone, number 119, the Kamadi-Bo@Hotmail.
Correct, the 5th column.
And in the top left, it shows that it's the update is through iTunes, correct?
Correct. It says Apple, it's iTunes data.
Showing you the next slide, does this indicate the last time that the Viber Messenger app was updated on the defendant's phone?
Yes.
That would be April 1st of 2017?
No, that's January 4th. It's month.
Sorry.
It's year, month, day.
Thank you. And what do we see here on the next slide, slide 44?
These are Viber log entries from item 119.
Okay. And are these entries that occurred between January 17th and January 23rd, the date of the murder?
This specific screenshot is from April 30th, 2016 through November 12th, 2016. So it might be on the next slide.
Let me go back one slide to this slide we were just at. When we see log entries 4,234, what does that indicate?
That there were 4,234 log entries that were parsed by Cellebrite, physical analyzer.
For Viber? Specific to
No,
Viber?
no, total log entries. This is filtered for Viber.
And the next slide, what do we see here?
These are continuation. As you can see, it's continued from November 12th, 2016 through January 23rd, 2017.
And the January 23rd, the date of the murder, that would be, it says 7:21 UTC minus 8. What does UTC minus 8 mean?
UTC, Universal Coordinated Time. UTC 0 is the time zone in England. And the way that mobile devices count time is they count seconds from a epoch time. And so when you see the -8, that's adjusted for here in California. So for January 23rd, third, the last row, 2017 at 7:21. And you see -8. That is 7:21 a.m. here in Los Angeles.
And what do we see here on the next slide? I think this is 46.
These are call log entries from item 119, filtered for item 121.
Okay. Are these all call log entries through Viber? If we look at the source in the far right column.
Correct, but not all of them are Viber audio. They might, those calls might have been through the default application, not Viber.
Okay.
So if it's not listed as Viber, it's not associated with Viber.
Okay. Viber audio meaning, as we discussed before, making a call through the Viber app.
Correct.
And all of these entries here to Baker's cell phone, Galaxy cell phone ending in 1093, as we see his name, Luisa, and all of them.
Correct.
Right. And this shows us a date range, I believe, on this particular slide, from October of 2016 through just November of 2016, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And looking at the next slide, is this a continuation of the same?
Correct. From November 6th, 2016 through December 15th, 2016.
And again, all to Baker's cell phone, correct?
Correct, item 121.
Okay. And again, in the next slide, 48, a continuation of the same.
Correct. From December 15th, 2016 through January 1st, 2017.
And again, slide 49, call log entries continued. Same thing again.
Correct. From January 1st, 2017 through January 18th, 2017.
Would it be safe to say that based on the slides we just looked at, that there were voluminous calls from the defendant to Baker's cell phone ending in 1093 or the number 121 device?
There were phone calls made between the two. I think voluminous is arbitrary.
Okay. When you do a cell phone extraction, does it necessarily provide you all of the data? Or is it possible that you don't even have all the data that would indicate call log entries between the two devices? Like, is that dependent on where it's stored in the phone and whether it actually gets extracted?
So the device that's pulled from these, or the extractions that are pulled from these devices, depends on various factors. Depends on if it's logical extraction or a file system extraction, or if it's a physical extraction. You can't do physical extractions on iPhones because of the encryption. So whenever people are saying, do you pull all of the data, it's very circumstantial, and it depends on various factors. So this is the information we have. This is the information that I was able to analyze based on the types of extractions that were conducted on those devices.
So again, the answer to the question would be then no, you don't necessarily get all of the data.
Not necessarily.
Showing slide 50, what do we see here?
This is an installed application from Mr. Baker's item 101 for Viber.
Okay. And the next slide, slide 51, what do we see here?
This is a filtered view of Mr. Baker's web history for Viber.
Okay. Did you find any indication that either the defendant on her device 119 or Baker on either of his devices used Viber again post date of the murder 123 of 2017?
No.
Okay. Now we have a slide here, 52, that says calendar entries. What do we see in slide 53 for device 101?
Device 101, Mr. Baker's device for a calendar entry. He has a subject of Monica Lesson entered into his device for December 21st, 2015.
Okay. And now the next slide, slide 54, indicates Wi-Fi. What do we see here in slide 55?
This is item 101, a wireless network entry for a Wi-Fi network named Retired 99 with a GPS location artifact.
And the GPS location artifact, did that indicate to you that it was consistent with Baker's home network?
Yes, it was near Mr. Baker's home residence.
Okay. Showing you slide 56. What do we see here?
These are passwords from Mr. Baker's item 101. The highlighted Wi-Fi network in the second column is the Sementilli _5G EXT.
So he has the Sementilli Wi-Fi password stored in his phone?
Yes, there is a data entry for the password.
Okay. Showing you the next slide, slide 57. What do we see here?
This is a wireless network entry for the Sementilli _5G EXT wireless network.
And that date is June 28th of 2016 at 8:28 in the morning?
Correct.
And did you pull or take a screenshot of this because you were aware that June 28th, 2016 was the date that the defendant upgraded her home DVR system?
Objection, facts not evidence. Foundation, no foundation.
Sustained.
Did you take a screenshot relative to this particular date because you knew it was relevant to the case in some manner?
Yes.
And were you made aware that on June 28th of 2016, the defendant upgraded her home DVR system?
Objection, legal.
It's irrelevant. Sustain on that ground.
Nevertheless, it appears that the Baker's device, 101, connected to the Sementilli residence's home Wi-Fi on that particular date at that particular time, correct?
There is a entry for connection for that specific time.
And date.
Yes, that time and date. There's an entry for that time and date for that wireless network on Mr. Baker's device.
Okay. Showing you the next slide, slide 58. What do we see here?
These are wireless networks for item 119, and the highlighted entry is for the Sementilli _5G EXT Wi-Fi network name.
And if we look at the column where it says SSID, does it look like that same network is connecting, or that this device is connecting to that network on other dates as well?
So the column that's for the BSSID, that's a unique number for a router. So you can have multiple networks on a router. You can name your network whatever you want, but that BSSID, if you look at the last four entries, you'll see that it's E457. If you go back a slide to Mr. Baker's device, please.
Yes.
You see that the E457, the BSSID, is for the same router. That's a unique number for a router.
So once again, more corroborating evidence that Baker's phone 101 connected to the Sementilli router, their Wi-Fi, on June 28th, 2016 at approximately 8:28 in the morning.
Objection, argument, testifying.
Sustained.
Is this corroborative evidence of the same of what you told us before?
It's the same router that they're connecting to. Those entries are for the same router.
So her phone and Baker's phone are connecting to the same router, the Sementilli router.
Yeah, though it's the same router for this. It's the same router that they're connecting the wireless network on.
Okay. And if we look at the next slide, I think this is 59. Yes. What are we seeing here?
This is. I forgot this slide was in there, but this is actually showing the same router that we were discussing.
With both of the devices connecting to that same Sementilli router.
Correct.
Okay. And now we have a slide that you have labeled IDMSS Lite App, slide 60. Let's look at 61. Is this a screenshot that you took off the internet?
Correct. These are screenshots that I took on March 29th, 2018.
Okay. And so this particular application, is this another third-party application?
Correct.
All right. And is this an application that allows for live video streaming?
Correct.
Showing you the next slide, slide 62. Again, are these more slides of screenshots that you took relative to the IDMSS Lite app for iPhones?
Yes.
And what do we see in slide 63, please?
The publisher website, you'll see that it's a address to dahuatech.com. I just highlighted that the release date was for that specific version for the IDMSS product release date.
Okay. And the slide after that, slide 64.
Yeah,
What does this indicate?
That's the publisher website, so that's the company that actually makes the third-party app.
All right. And same thing, more information regarding this third-party app in slide 65
Correct.
and 66.
Yeah, so this is the website for the dahuatech.com website that was listed as the publisher website for the IDMSS application.
Okay, what do we see here in slide 67 relative to the defendant's iPhone 119?
So you will see that there are log entries from item 119 filtered for IDMSS, and that there are 2 password entries for that application.
Stored on her phone?
Correct.
And does it indicate here 7 different dates where she connected through this IDMSS Lite app on her phone, including the date of the murder?
There are entries. There are log entries for that application on those dates. You'd have to read the actual log entry to ascertain what it's actually logging.
Okay. And if we look at the one for January 23rd, 2017, does that have a time that's adjusted for California?
Correct. That will be 3:53 p.m.
Okay.
California time.
Morning recess for 15
All right.
minutes. The admonition applies. We'll see you back here in